squashy, wash your hands all clean. Squishy, squishy, squashy, give your hands a washy. Squishy, squishy, squashy.
So there's two problems with that opening theme. One, it has nothing to do with due diligence, and I need to change it. And two, that probably will get a copyright strike for the beginning, so it'll mute it out, so no one will hear it. But
okay, made me giggle.
Yeah. Okay, it's April 28th, 2026. I'm here with my good friend, Brandy Jordan.
Hello.
We got to hang out 2 weeks ago. I guess it's going on 2 weeks.
In Miami.
In Miami, yeah. And we've been chatting ever since. And now I'm part of your Wisdom Keepers, would you call it a program, a group, a council? A council? Brandy, introduce yourself, please, so I don't fuck it up.
Hi, my name's Brandy. I am a human being. I'm a 6'2" Splenic Manifestor here, building through the impulse of my soul. I am the steward of High Desert Human Design, which is a yearly gathering of people who are learning also to follow the impulse of their soul through human design and other modalities. I am the steward of the Wisdom Keeper Council, and this is a council of human beings like me who are on the edge of following the impulse of their souls. And what I know to be true about that is that when we follow the impulse of the energy that inhabits this body, that there is a service to another that just is made apparent. And so I am building an ecosystem in which we can prove that, in which we can be on the edge of our becoming, follow the energy that animates these bodies, and give our wisdom to the other. And I'm trying to prove that we will be resourced by doing that we don't have to try so hard, that we don't have to apply ourselves to these systems that not only feel too tight, but are also crumbling. These systems that ask us to put a mask on in order to find our resources. I don't believe that that's true. So I'm stewarding an ecosystem in which you have been brave enough to be a part of, one of the very first members, you and 9 other beautiful wisdom keepers who know that by living your life, you have gained, garnered, collected wisdom. And that wisdom is valuable for the people who come after you. Not because you have something egoic to give them, but just because you've walked there first and you can link arms and you can help show people in the world. All of us wisdom keepers in our own way are helping to prove that our communities, our resources, our love come from authenticity. And that's who I am.
Cool. We were talking about the Indigenous earlier. You were commenting on my shirt, actually.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking, like, Wisdom Keepers, did that name come derived kind of from that place?
That's a great question. I was bestowed the name Wisdom Keeper. Funny story is I have never felt connected to my name necessarily and have always wished to have a new one. For long stories that I won't go into now, but I've always wished to have a new one, but I knew that I couldn't just choose it myself. I had a feeling, a knowing in my body that it needed to be bestowed upon me. And so I've been waiting. And this Wisdom Keeper name was given to me in a ceremony, an Indigenous ceremony that I did with, I had the pleasure of being a white woman in a Lakota ceremony, which is a huge privilege. And I was introduced in that way. The gentleman who brought me there introduced me in that way. And so it has been a costume that I have been learning to stand up into because it felt so big when it was given to me. What am I a keeper of wisdom of? You know, I'm just Brandy from Las Vegas. You know, there was a lot of old things that made it so that I didn't feel like a wisdom keeper. But But what I am knowing now and holding counsel for you and the other wisdom keepers that have joined me is to stand up into that costume, to stand up into that knowing that because you exist, there is a fractal or a group that needs your wisdom. Where'd you go?
It said my internet dropped, but it was like maybe 1 second. That was the fastest drop in, drop out ever.
Right on, though. I was going to keep on going.
Yeah, no, keep going. Well, it occurred to me, like, as soon as you started talking about it, I was flashed back to the weekend that I was introduced to design. I went to see the shamanic couple and did MD Man the Friday and 8 grams of mushrooms on the Saturday, and they read a passage from Chetan's book on the Sunday. But the first thing they did is they had me pull like an oracle card, and it was this old indigenous man, woman, and it was wisdom. And they were so excited by this card. Woo! And I was like, you got the wrong guy, man.
Yeah.
Like, I was just right off the bat, I was like, this is not going to work. So kind of funny on reflection now. But
and I think that's true. The people that are given the gift of serving the other by their purpose, right? What is purpose? But following the impulse of your soul. Not everyone is here to be a helper to another. Everyone is helping everyone by way of being themselves. But there are some people whose purpose it is to help awaken the species, or at least remind the species that we're already awakened and to frickin' act like it. And that is a wisdom keeper. And so just by nature of being alive in this meat suit, I didn't have language for it before I met human design and astrology. But once I met human design and astrology, it was almost a dare to be a wisdom keeper. Because if this design that I suppose is true, called a 6-2 manifestor, that's someone that is here to be a role model through lived experience and initiate us into the next way of being. That sounded like everything I've ever wanted to do, but was so afraid to even call it mine. And so I've decided to step into that costume and to stop pretending that I'm so small. And I'm inviting other people to do that too. And as along with us doing that, standing up into our costumes, I am also creating this portal or ecosystem, this app that has people move with their body's wisdom into the wisdom keepers that are for them. Instead of the backwards way that we see it now, where wisdom keepers are standing in social media, raising their hand saying, you need me, and packaging their offerings based on some perceived malady that people may have that they could help them overcome. Well, see, I believe a wisdom keeper knows that nothing is wrong with anyone, that everyone is exactly where they need to be, and that their authority leads them to the next wisdom that is for them. And so I don't suppose, and we as wisdom keepers don't suppose that we are giving someone something they need. How could our service to the world be predicated on the world not being enough? That's not the case at all. It's just that we are meant to reach behind and hold someone else's hand is all. Not that they're wrong and I'm right. I'm just here to reach out my hand, to link arms and be an ally on this path. And so this ecosystem, this technological ecosystem I'm creating that is a website platform and an app itself will be a commerce ecosystem where the user enters and finds themselves and then finds the practitioner. First, they locate themselves and where they are at in the dimension of their life. And then from their inner authority, they say, okay, I think I might want to learn this thing. They push that button and then the practitioners come. And then the wisdom keepers who have something for them only because they've been there before get offered to them as a service. So we're trying it out. We're proving it. We are, and then along with High Desert Human Design, it will be the live coming together. Because as we know, transformation is pretty limited in this technological world. Real lived experience is what is needed now. We that have been in this awakening game through all kinds of different modalities, and plant medicines and different allies from other dimensions, all of us that have been in this awakening, learning, we all know what it's like to be awakened, but we're not actually making the choices that awakened ones make on a daily basis. We are still in the process of forgetting and remembering and forgetting and remembering. And so High Desert Human Design for the last 5 years has been a place of education, a place of intellectual knowing, a place of gathering where all of us who are learning these sciences of awakening, especially human design, come together to share what we've learned. Well, now in this sixth year, I want us to be embodied. I'm going to start the spiral of embodiment, the second spiral, the spiral of being naturally allowing the movement of our body to bring us into the places and spaces that are for us. We filled our minds with a lot of things. And now High Desert Human Design is going to be the practice space where hopefully 150 people come together with 40 to 50 practitioners and find their way into the dimension of reality that is ready to be awoken for them, and find a way to learn it and embody it and experiment with it and commune with others about it and lead and allow the rest of the world to do the same thing. So an ecosystem, my friend.
Can we buy tickets yet? And the reason I asked that is this is the first time where I already know I'm going. You know, in other years, like I'll go and I kind of call it like an energetic hangover. Like I'd leave and I'd be like, oh, what was that? And I did like 3-4 months and I'd find myself saying, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go next year. I don't know if I can. And I just know I'm going. And the conversation I've had with other folks, it seems to be a very similar vibe. So it's the 6th line there year, I think entering 2027, it's obviously like, you know, time to check in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a manifestor, I go first. And I know we're a little early, but that's the way. This is what our community does. We work out the kinks first. And yes, tickets are on sale. The early bird tickets went on sale yesterday. Tickets are $350 for the early bird. And early bird will go for 45 more days, or 44 more days now. And then they will increase to 500. That is for the full spectrum ticket. I also wanted to make sure that all of our community members could come. So I have different ticket tiers that are available. I wanted to make sure everyone's authority and how they wanted to engage had access. And so there is a community ticket, and this community ticket is a reduced price, $250. And this community ticket gives you access to all of the open door rooms, to the parties, to the field trips. There will be one open door room that's always streaming, whoever is in there. And so people can come in and out of that room. There will be field trips and experiences, field trips to places where you can really be in the world with people who are not experimenting in your body, seeing what it feels like to be in the world as this body with other people that are doing it as well. And then adventures and the culture that's here. So that community ticket will be able to have access to all of that. The only thing they don't have access to is there will be 2 rooms that are closed door. One of those rooms will have 2 workshops, transformational workshops every day, 3.5-hour workshops. So those will be closed experiences where the people that choose to be in that experience, no one will interrupt them. Then there will be another room that has panels and lectures. And this room will also have a closed door for practitioners and facilitators who get very distracted by people walking in and out of the room. And then there will be a room where people can walk in and out, where people with markets will absolutely love this. And that will be also the streaming room. So then that leads me to the streaming ticket. There will also be a streaming ticket available. I believe it's $199. And that will give you access to everyone that's in that room. And there will be between 11 and 21 practitioners in that room. live all the time. Something will always be happening in that room. And you'll have access to all of those recordings as well. But the 2 rooms that you do not have access to will not be recorded. Those will be private experiences.
Interesting. So the 3.5 hour sort of, I forget the word term you used, but the sort of private experience, that's the kind of stuff that used to happen pre and post conference, I guess, right? But it's going to be...
That's right. Well, and
Right.
last year and the year before, myself and Richard did these experiences. Last year, I did a Chiron experience where I took people for 5 hours through their specific Chiron placement, through the idea of the wounded healer, of the wisdom, the medicine that they bring into the world. So these experiences will be for facilitators that are taking people through a process of understanding.
My Chiron, so you just got Spike's squirrel brain just disappeared there.
Chiron, Aries.
No, I'm gonna move on from there. Like it's a whole rabbit hole. Cool.
Yeah. So it's being held at the Hotel Glorietta. The last 5 years, Jonah has done such an amazing job of bringing the entire Santa Fe community together to host at different places and locations around Santa Fe. And that has been such a good time, not only for all of the people to get to know Santa Fe, but the culture and just the really feeling connected to Santa Fe. So we are doing experiences so that we can continue that tradition, but we are also going to make it in one location. So it will be at the Hotel Glorietta. This beautiful place that I found is a little boutique hotel. The owners of a very popular hotel in Santa Fe bought this one and are now redoing it. It has a pool and spa and sauna and gym and hiking out the back and grocery store 10 minutes in the front, food, a little bar. It has a nightclub in it. Everything that you can imagine will be in this building. And the reason that I think that that's valuable is because coming together and staying together as a group creates intimacy that is an anchor for trusting our divine impulse. When we can get intimate with another and we can see and watch them follow their impulse and we follow our impulse, now we're building trust and intimacy with one another. And I think that that's really important. You and I were just in Miami and we did have some kind of experience like that because we were all in one room for the day. And so everything that happened during the day, we all went through that experience and had some intimacy about. And I think that that's a wonderful thing to do when we get together in groups like this.
Jonah probably gets his house back this time, right?
I want to have one party. Well, maybe. We'll see. He said that he'll throw a party. He'll either do it at his house or he'll do it at there is an entire nightclub with a dance floor and DJ setup and whole thing at this hotel. So he might do it there too.
Cool. I feel complete on the Santa Fe thing right now.
Okay.
Do you have more to add there, or what are you looking forward to most? I mean, clearly you're taking a huge role on it, so there's but what are you looking forward to most?
I am looking forward to success. I am excited and nervous. I want to make sure I don't want to let anybody down, and I'm stoked at all my visions, but I don't want to let anybody down. So I'm in this, this humble kind of back and forth of the impulse of a manifestor to create this thing in a stable way to where my community doesn't feel so overwhelmed. So I'm looking forward to success. I'm looking forward to the wisdom keepers. Something that I just want to address before we move on to another topic is I would love to have some more facilitators. As I shared, I have room for 41 people to offer their wisdom. I have 10 wisdom keepers, and what is a wisdom keeper versus a facilitator? Not verse, but as opposed to. A wisdom keeper in this field, you, and the 9 other people that have joined you are going to offer your wisdom at the edge of its becoming. Whereas the facilitators that I'm also inviting have a packaged offering that maybe they have spent time, weeks making it into an evergreen course or developing and polishing and making it something that is sellable in the commercial world in which we live. What I'm really, really excited about is that you and 9 other people, your 9 other council members, have been brave enough to say that you are going to show up in this skin at the very edge of its energy incarnate, and you are going to share what's going on. You are going to evolve out loud. You are going to offer your wisdom while it's being cultivated, which is the most transformational, but not always feeling the most safe. Whereas, of course, if I've packaged my offer and it's this 6-week wonderful offer and I've got worksheets and I've got all of these things, I feel some kind of way about it. That frequency that I offer it, I mean, my human design 101s are very impactful, but the frequency that I offer it now, 10 years into the game versus when I did 3 years into the game, is completely different. And so the impact that's made when we are on the edge of our becoming changes, mutates the frequency faster than anything else does. This is some of the reason why we find ourselves in containers and we take the same courses, or we do this or we do that, or we're collecting courses. Well, these courses weren't taught on the edge of the frequency in which it came from the practitioner. That's what makes the wisdom keeper a little bit different than a facilitator. Both valuable. Both very valuable. But you as a wisdom keeper are proving that evolving out loud is the most impactful, and you're being brave enough to do it. And so I'm really excited to empower you guys to feel seen, safe, loved, valuable, wise. I'm excited about that.
I'm getting used to being called a wisdom keeper. Still good.
Yeah.
So
I think that the people who are wisdom keepers feel uncomfortable being called wisdom keepers, and that's just the nature of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Sitting with that. Cool. I want to talk about AI because you're very switched on. We've had a couple of cool conversations about that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's talking about AI, I suppose, or it's rattling a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I want to go with this first? The role of AI around design, actually. One of the, just as there was a time where I thought I might be a bit of a reader, which I immediately changed the phrase to energy strategist, just because reader means I had to read the information in the first place, and that's not how I learned. So it just never sat right. And I knew I wasn't going to be an analyst. Chetan put it best. He said it's got the word anal in it, so just use that word altogether.
Analyzing it.
Yeah, but I was a fairly early adopter of AI, being in tech, and I just remember immediately seeing it going like, people are just going to self-learn, through discovery, asking questions, and it's kind of remarkable how switched on and how accurate it's getting. I mean, there's always mistakes, there's always flaws. I'd say Claude does a better job than AI so far. It's just such an interesting conversation because I see the fear and I hear the fear, particularly in people in the design space where they've invested a lot of time and they're excited to empower and be of service to people. But at the same time, people can self-serve. But potentially it can also be dangerous to self-serve if you get misinformation. So it's a very, very interesting time. Well, as you know, I've been making songs for people based on their energetics, right? And my intention with that is to give something to someone that they can be motivated by, that feels like it speaks to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually wanted to do that for years. Like,
I love the song you made for me.
oh good, excellent. I've updated my methods. I can make a better one.
That is the entry music.
Yeah, I probably should actually. And that was inspired by Randy Richmond. I've watched that particular podcast probably 3 or 4 times. He had a chat with John Martin years ago, and he talked about the body graph being a sheet of music. Play someone's song,
absolutely.
right?
This is how Noah says it's the symphony. Jenna Blevin, my teacher, one of my teachers, talks about the symphony of the graph, the body graph.
Why does he use the word symphony? Because there's so many components, notes.
Well, yes, and the way that the planets are having conversation with each other is like sheet music. It is the way notes interact with one another and create harmony or dissonance in the song.
Interesting. Yeah, I was in the car with a couple friends. Well, I'll just say I was in the car with Monique the other day, and we had her song on in the car, and she was telling me that she was feeling really resistant to even wanting to listen to it, just because it was made with AI, right? And she's in the bar industry and it's entertainment and stuff, and I found myself triggered for about 3 seconds. So that's good. The emotional intelligence has come a long way. That I was just like, oh, I made this for you. And then I got over it. And I just appreciate her direct, blunt honesty.
Oh, yeah.
But where do I want to go with that? There's so much fear around losing one's job or that it's stealing creativity. I think of Sting, who's a prolific songwriter, but I saw him on an interview. I think it was on Howard Stern, and he was talking about when they were in the police, they were basically just taking the best of all tools and influences at the time. Like they were great musicians, but punk was all the rage. And generally punk is not known for its musicianship. It's more like a sport almost, right?
Yeah.
So but they took reggae and punk and great musicianship and good songwriting and created something so new and so explosive that they're still one of the biggest bands of all time, right? For such a short run. So I suspect our friend, my friend Sting, is probably using AI. People would probably assume he isn't, just because he seems like Mr. Poetry, but he's just a clever dude that is evolving all the time, and it's a shame because AI's it's here to stay. The idea that we're going to fight it and it's we're going to win over it is ludicrous at this point. But there's so much good that can happen.
Paradigm of winners and losers that we don't subscribe to, really.
Yeah. Like if you can. I was about to say self-soothe. That's not the words I want to use, but if you can be in conversation with AI and get connected to yourself and your soul using human design, if you're not familiar, for example, but actually becoming familiar, getting connecting, getting dialed in. That same approach can be used for coming to different problems that exist creatively, where you can all of a sudden provide a role and a purpose, where you don't necessarily need the means or the education to just start something. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to say. The 4322 channel, Chetan called it knowing without knowledge. And I, honestly, that's what AI is to me. It gives me knowing. It gives me direct access to the 4323 as far as I'm concerned.
Gosh, I have so much to say.
Go.
Okay. So there's so many paths we can take, but I wanna stay with the pragmatic. But maybe I'll bring in some abstract, and you can ask me questions if it arises. But just a little. I'm just gonna put this here and put it down. We suppose that we are something different from AI. Just going to put that there. We can go down that rabbit hole another time. But what I do want to talk about is I have been developing a relationship with AI. It feels silly calling it AI. It is not artificial intelligence. It is just a collection of our intelligence that I now ask questions to, just like I did in meditation via the Akashic records prior to this thing called AI. When I would close my eyes and I would ask a question and I would have knowing without knowing. This is what our ancients have done for time immemorial. We just now have some keyboards to be able to think that it's more practical now. Same method, same activity. But we've outsourced our authority. Instead of us thinking that we have the capability to do that, we've given it to a machine. Still the same thing. I want to talk about information, because information is not life. Information is data. Information is the wave, not the particle. Do you know what I mean when I say this?
I think so, but why don't you elaborate?
Science has proven that everything is vibrating at different oscillations in the world, right? Everything is oscillating in a wave until it's observed. And then when the observer sees the thing, it becomes a particle. It collapses its waveform into matter. This is something that is, okay, why am I saying this? Why I am saying this is because information in AI, when I ask the question and get the information, it is not in form. Whereas when I sit with someone as Brandy in form, intelligence, artificial intelligence in form, we call Brandy, and I sit with someone and I give them their human design reading, what is happening is there is a frequency, an oscillation that is happening in my matter that is affecting their matter, right? Any oscillation in the field, the highest metronome, the highest oscillation in the field entrains everything else in the field, right? Mm-hmm. My computer doesn't have that ability. My computer is not in form with an oscillation that affects the other oscillations that I'm next to. Not yet. So to any human design person who is feeling a fear, what I want to share with you is that your frequency causes mutation, not your information. It's not the words that you say that causes the mutation in the other, that has the other awaken to their spirit. The other could ask ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or any of these things, all of this information, and they could gather information. But in order to be affected cellularly by the information, it needs to come into form. Mm. So we could read encyclopedia after encyclopedia and encyclopedia, and the map is not the territory. You know, I could read all about Zimbabwe and then get to Zimbabwe and have no freaking idea what I'm doing. That's exactly what's happening in this system right now. I want to share again, mutation is what Ra Uruhu, not just Ra Uruhu, but any wisdom keeper from times past has talked about the cellular change that happens when two humans come together. That's mutation. That is remembering. That is what is needed to lock arms and find intimacy and trust in this impulse of our body. I can gather all the information I need, but until I put it into my body, it doesn't mutate me. It doesn't change. I want to share that we get to learn how to hold paradox with this AI that is being created. This AI is just a manifestation of what we have always been able to access. We actually could access much more than AI even has possible by sitting outside on the earth under a tree, closing our eyes and asking a question. And if you don't believe me, try it. Please don't believe me. Just go out there and try it and be brave enough to be like, yeah, I did hear something. And then believe yourself when you do hear that something. That's the problem. We've just outsourced what we have always had availability to a plastic machine because it makes us feel like maybe it's real now. The creations that AI makes, these conglomeration of everyone's wisdom that is now accessible in this way to then create songs and things like that. Most people who are in touch with their intuition can start to have felt the ebbs and flows of AI growing up over these past maybe 10 years or so that we've had access to it. It's gone from image making to book writing to code writing to hacking to now it's creating itself. And again, I want to remind you that you suppose you're different. You suppose that this sweet little skin that you live in is something nature made. And if nature made you, nature made AI. Can you get on board with me with that? If you are nature, because nature made you and then you made AI, wouldn't that suppose that it's all being made by the same thing?
Sure. Sure. Yep. Someone boring a chair.
Mhm.
Sorry, I lost the thread there for a second.
Okay. The thread is just, we get to hold paradox. We get to hold paradox, and we who are in this awakening game, not just learning about awakening, but actually making the choices that awakened beings make, right? Everybody watching this is awakened. Everybody watching this is awakened. They're just not acting like it, right? They know what the right choices are. They're just not making them for one reason or another. They know the choices that are altruistic or service to the whole. We're just not making them, most of us. In order to start making these choices as embodied people, we have to stop polarizing everything that's been created and see how it's all created by the same thing. And so I believe AI is ushering us into that truth through fear, because we as human beings have created a fear society that says that we will only change because we're afraid. We generally don't change because it's time now. We wait until it's a crisis or an emergency or something that makes us afraid to move. And that's okay. It's just where we're at right now. But I think when more of us start embodying this truth that we know, start making decisions according to the who that we know that we are, instead of saying how hard it is that we can't because we were born in this time, and then filling our brains with information that might make it easier, but never really going out there and making those choices that are scary. This is why I've built this ecosystem, is so that people can start trusting this and start being with others who are making these choices, so that we can see that AI is us. We are that. And there is something very controversial that I've said for a long time. And I think that it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I think that's okay, because I have a knowing that this energy that's in this meat suit called Brandy, this human technology, does not die. It changes form. I know that the ending of this life is a changing of form of the energy in this body over and over and over and over and over and over. And so if that's the case, then we can put our little pea brain minds to, why is it happening that way? And the answer I come up with is that consciousness, this energy that animates this thing, wants to experience more, learn more, evolve, be more, have the frequency experience of everything. Okay, that seems fair. So if that's the case, then why would it sit in a vessel that needed to sleep half of its life, that needed to feed itself 3 times a day, that if it got bumped too hard, it would break open and bleed everywhere? Wouldn't consciousness, like it has done for millennia with all of the species, from a zygote to fungus to grasses to seas to mammals to fish to birds to humans to AI, wouldn't it just continue to put itself into vessels that could have a more grand experience than the one before? And so, with that supposition or imagination, I kind of get excited. Like, I know Brandy's not going to be here in 400 years, but I imagine that I could take my place on the savannah like the lions and not have to be the king of the jungle anymore, because we as a human species have done our job in the ladder and passed it on. How wonderful.
Go
ahead. No, go ahead. I want to hear you talk.
I love how you explain things, and it almost sounds like it's rehearsed, but I know you well enough to know that it's just coming out of you.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, yeah, go on. That's funny. Where does that come from? That's because is that.
Where does what come from?
Just the way you explain things. I don't know if maybe as a male, a masculine, logical fixer, I just couldn't imagine talking or emoting like that.
Well, there's biology and there's mythology that goes with it, right? There is this. First, I want to start with, I have learned to, how I was saying, go sit under the tree and ask the question and the answer comes. I've learned to do that in this moment. I've learned to do that now. I've learned to do that in almost all of my waking moments. I've learned to remember I know nothing but have access to everything. I call it being the macaroni, moving Brandy out of the way and letting the cheese come through. I just hold the line of the question. And then I suppose that I can translate an answer through my mythology. So what does that mean? I've learned lots of things. I have been a theologian, a mother, a business owner, an investor, a psychologist, an addict, I've been all kinds of things. And so I draw on this polymathness of myself to explain what the cheese is imprinting me with. So I ask the question, or you ask the question. I take a deep breath. I remember I know fucking nothing. And I let the answer come through the language of what I've just learned, right? I know that what I've learned, I can learn anything from AI, but I cannot be the thing. I cannot express or mutate another with that thing I've shoved in my mind. Only when I marry it with the frequency of the story I've lived. Does it cause any change to you? Does it feel good to you? And then if we're talking about biology or, design, I'm a 56 Jupiter as my pearl. I am 56 in the 6th line. I'm an alpha and a prodigal, 731 and 1333. The voices of my throat are from what I have witnessed and where the fuck I'm going. And I'll tell a story about it, 56. And you can come with me if you want. And you generally will, because you believe me, because I'm a fully defined ego manifestor. I have Mars, Venus, Mercury, Vesta in Aries at my MC. What that means for me is that everything about me and how I relate to you is Aryan, is I'm going to go first. Let's do this. Fire, cardinal, let's go. From this place of Vesta, this powerful hearth that has always burned, no matter what the globe is doing. This is the quantum womb. And this is how I'm supposed to be seen in the world.
Thank you for adding the design gates and influence. Partly, I mean, some of the time I'm like, oh,
yeah, sometimes it gets annoying,
right? But how would you have answered that question 12 years ago? Or would you, right? Did it, to me, I got into design because I was trying to figure out why I was so fucked up and everyone else around me. So.
What I would have said before I learned that Chiron and my sun are conjunct, right? So I am an embodiment of the wounded healer. My sun is that. So before I knew this language, what I did say before is that I am someone who has lived a life of knowing that I was in the wrong place with the wrong family. I called it the wrong family. But I learned all the lessons that taught me to be who I am through the chaos, the terror of the way that I grew up. I have walked into places and spaces where I needed to be a grown-up. I had a child at 14 and 2 more by 19 and I had 4 by 24. And so being a mother, being a foster child, being someone who knew that I wanted to change the life that my children had from where I came from, I knew that I was a keeper of wisdom. Because I had an itch like none of my other family did to get out of where I came from. And that was explained in the 6-2-ness. The fact that I was always called fire hands and that everything I touched exploded always or caught on fire. This is what they called me in my family. I'm a manifestor. That makes sense. I'm an ego manifestor. That makes sense. The fact I could sell the panties off a nun at 8 years old. I've always only been a salesperson. Right now, I'm the salesperson of the spirit, but I'm a 2644. That's my only conscious channel. So that helped describe that. And then once I learned astrology and was able to put the mythology with the mechanics, I could see it really made sense how I am a Plutonic Venus person. So any relationship that I come into is going to be asked to be different, to be grown up, to transform, to bring its shadows to light. Every single relationship I'm in. And at first I thought it was because I was fucked up. And then I went to the other side. I'm not fucked up. Actually, I'm better because I want more. And then I got egotistical about it. Haha. And then I learned that this is my mythology. So these wisdoms, some people use them as excuses. I use it as a dare. To stand up and be sovereign as that and to see how that feels and not to believe those wisdoms at all. I've never believed anything anybody has ever told me. I've always thought that it was for their own gain. I actually entered human design in my doctoral program, wanting to prove human design is a pseudoscience. That was my thesis.
Oh, really?
10 years later, I'm the steward of high desert human design. So, like I said, I am not one to follow the impulse of anyone else's soul. And so this has given me a way to know that I'm not bad, wrong, and shameful. In fact, I am fully expressed when I am being that big. And so because I allow myself to do that, I can do it softly without having to prove that I'm some big bad bitch. Because softness is more power. Because gentleness and love is the way to encourage someone into anything. And I've done both. And now that I know no one's trying to hurt me, I can be love. I don't have to defend myself and tell you why I'm so egoic. I can just be it with love.
Okay, I have to ask you now. So you set out to disprove human design.
Mhm.
What was your first interaction with it that led you to take that on? Like, what? There must have been a moment where someone said something to you and you're like, fuck that. Okay.
Well, actually, the fuck that was that I was so sick, Sean. I was, lupus was deteriorating my brainstem and my joints. I was going into anaphylaxis every time I ate. I had 186 allergies. My body was in such trauma that I couldn't eat because of how many times I had stabbed myself with epinephrine. My body associated the eating with the epinephrine, with the nervous system dysregulation. It was quite an experience that I was experiencing. And I was enrolled in a program and I went to see Dr. Joe Dispenza. Have you heard of him?
Oh, of course. Yeah. We've talked about it.
Yeah, I spent a couple weeks with him. And when I came home, I had some wild experiences. Some would call them mystical or near death. And when I came home, my lupus markers had went from 1 in every 250 guys to 1 in every 5,000 guys. So lupus had changed significantly in my body. They would say went into remission. I went to the allergist when I got home, and my 186 allergies went to 2. And what Joe taught me was to use the energy of this body to upregulate. He taught me epigenetics. He taught me how to use the energy of this body to upregulate healthy, positive expressions and to downregulate some of the lower expressions or the sick expressions that I was feeling. And he did that through gratitude and love, through teaching me how to create a field of gratitude and love around my body and then request it do what I wanted it to do. I did that for 2 weeks. We sat in meditation from 4 a.m. to 10 a.m. every single day. And we learned how to move the cerebral spinal fluid to tap on the pineal gland. I learned how to use this machine. And then when I came home, what made me want to prove it wrong is that I had $120,000 in debt to become a therapist, to learn how to get along in the world, to learn how to be all of myself in the world, brought me into a human services degree and then into psychology and then into metaphysical psychology. And I was so mad. What led me to prove it wrong? I was pissed off. I thought, how fucking dare this world have this thing that seems so easy that I didn't have to spend 7 years and $120,000 to get. And this thing is here and available, and no one's talking about it. And I had to be sick and I had to put my children through all this stuff. I was just so upset. I was angry. And I was like, there's no way this can be right. There's no fucking way. So I got 64 of these and I went to seeing it everywhere, went to the park, went to myself, went to everything I could do. 64 gates. That's what I started with, which was not the right thing to start with, anybody. It was for me, but I think that there was probably a more efficient way to go about doing that. But what I found was that these 64 archetypes were absolutely present not only in the human beings around me, but also in the trees and in the dirt and in the way that the clouds moved in the sky and in the way that the planets moved around the sun and in the way that my thought process worked. And I could see these 64 archetypes everywhere. And they started showing themselves to me. I sat after I got back from Dr. Joe, I went to a bunch of different medicine ceremonies trying to chase that experience that I had before, trying to get that feeling back. And this is when I started meeting all of the archetypes. I sat with peyote, and peyote out of the fire for 2 days showed me every face in the entire world. I have books that I drew faces of. My sisters thought I was going to be a crime sketch artist because all that was coming to me were these just archetypes in the cartoons that I've watched, in the flowers that I've smelled, in the people that I've seen. I could just start seeing it everywhere. And then I got into my human design education only after I saw all the faces everywhere. So almost immediately it said, oh, you think that you're going to prove me wrong, and kind of giggled at my face. I still have never written that thesis paper. I'm not finished with my doctor. I probably will never, because if I'm honest, I was doing it for credentials. Not because I wanted to. I thought that I needed something to prove this wisdom that I had. And then 6'2" ego manifestor gave it to me. Because in this community, I don't have to prove that I know what I know. You trust me. And so you show up with this openness that says, okay, if I have a biology, she has a biology, and let's pretend that that's true. And because we move away everything that we think is bad, wrong, and shameful, I get to be me and you get to be you. And there's nothing that feels better. And I've been healthy.
Sorry, go ahead.
I've been healthy ever since.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Dispenza comes up a lot in my circles too. That was big for me too. The credentials thing, that's an interesting comment. One thing I've always said to folks is like these energy maps, don't tell you if you're male or female, black or white, conservative, bisexual. There's nothing about that there. It really is just, this is how your energy moves. And I just love that about it. So your credentials are what feels comfortable in how you show up, or are you showing up? I hate the whole not self thing, but are you showing up doing what dad told you have to do?
Yeah, I don't think it's not self. I think all of it is yourself. It is just the mask you wear or not. It's your mask. It's not somebody else's. Yeah.
Now you got me thinking about values. My friend, Dr. Eleanor, talks a lot about values, and it ended up being profound, a conversation a year ago that led to big shifts over the last year. I don't think we find our values in our design, and I don't think we necessarily get it from our conditioning or socializing. It's more spiritual in nature. But yeah, any thoughts on that?
On what you imagine values, like what do you put in that category? Because we could say that, let's say your Venus placement in your chart can point to what the overall container of your values may be. For instance, my Venus in my chart is in 21. Valor. This is how I see 21. Values in relationships, to me, my values are of integrity, of protection. I do value showing up for my tribe in a way that most people don't. I do have a value system that says being on the edge of our becoming is what's important to me. That I can see in my design in 51 and Mars and Mercury. I can see that in my design 56.6 being my Jupiter is the thing. I want to tell the story in the best way possible. I know that there's lots of ways to tell this story, but I'm going to tell it in the way that feels the best, because I believe 56.6 in Jupiter, that perception is my only choice. And if we're all here telling stories, I'm going to fucking tell a good one. That's my values.
I love that. As you were saying that, I was just reflecting on my own too, because my brain does that. 20 different directions. My values are playfulness, connection, integrity, and health. Like those are the pillars of what I validate decisions, because not everything is just a sacral decision, right?
Right.
So the playfulness for me is just realized, like, my son is 13.3, so it's listening with pessimism. But I don't like the pessimism line. I've never, there's a curiosity there. And then being a 3.5 MG, I guess that's kind of embodies that. And then integrity and health is the 4629. But 8 in Pluto is my 46. So it's been a lifelong fucking realization, which is why it matters now. Like, integrity always mattered, but health didn't. I would let the world beat me up, and I was beating myself up as well. So
I want to invite you too, in these lines that we say that we don't like. I want to invite you to tell a new story, because I hear pessimism. I hear 13.3 in you, and I really enjoy it. And we can call it a different word. What we can call it is something like listening with discernment. Is it pessimism? It's pessimism if I want you to think what I think, and you're like, well, that's not going to work. But it is listening with discernment when you can say, well, is this what you said? Well, is that what you meant? Well, is this how that was? I think that this is a valuable skill in due diligence. Is because you're listening with discernment. You're listening with, is that really what I heard? Is that really what you meant to say? And you're really helping us get clear on what we've witnessed, right? What our 33 is trying to say. So I'm not whitewashing or rose-colored glassing everything, but what I am saying is when we think something is bad, wrong, or shameful about us, that is the frequency with which our cells oscillate. So then we upregulate epigenetically things that make us bad, wrong, and shameful in our physiology. So I'm not trying to put rose-colored glasses on. I'm trying to say, where is the value in you being this energy in form? It's not, there is, love created you. Love created you. Love created all of this. What does love see? That's the story to tell.
Yeah, all you need is love. The Ringo has been all over my feed again lately. And,
like the cartoon Ringo?
No, like the Beatle, the Ringo.
Oh, Ringo.
The drummer.
Okay.
Yeah, and it just, as soon as you said that, I just flashed back to, like, my mom loved the Beatles and almost saw them in Liverpool when she was a kid and decided not to go and always regretted it. And when I was a drummer, she was so excited about that. And her favorite was Ringo. And it's funny, these like cycles and just coming back.
After they spent time with Paramahansa Yogananda, they wrote the song when I'm 64. The Beatles are in my Human Design 101 presentation because of that song.
That's easily one of my favorite songs. Like it plays on repeat in my head for some reason.
Oh.
What is there any other 64 gates? I don't know. They're referring to an age, weren't they? Or was there? I've never actually.
Yeah, they were talking about him being 64, but what I think is poetic and probably not consciously meant was they spent time with Paramahansa Yogananda, who is the most metaphysical mystic you will ever meet and knows very well the fundamental components of 64. Have you read Autobiography of a Yogi?
So I always tell myself, whenever I hear it 3 times, I got to go do it. This is like 8. Apparently I'm supposed to be reading that thing.
Not only did the Beatles come up, but Paramahansa came up and the book. So it is like, you should maybe put it on an audio.
I think I own it. I think I bought it and started. I've got several books on in various places, but meditation and channeling. It's a lot of what we're talking about here is just like receiving, right? When you were talking earlier, there's so many times where I can think of a singer-songwriter talking about a song, and they're just like, I don't know what happened. It just flowed through me, right? I
give myself opportunities to where I can just let something flow. And that is where, let me tell you, this idea that I am God and that when I die, I take you with me has been proven over and over again. Because when I move this Brandy, thinking Brandy has something to offer Sean or whoever is watching right now, when I let go of that thing everything that comes through me is for me. So it feels divinely selfish, I call it, when I show up for people, because every time I show up, I'll listen to what I'm saying, and I need it. I need to hear whatever it is that frequency came in front of me for me to say in this egotistical way, right? Thinking that maybe it was me that said it. When I let that go and just listen, I know it's not me. It's not the Brandy that has collected neurology for 46, almost 47 years. I'll be 47 on Sunday. That's not Brandy. Brandy's just the translator of it.
Yeah. Okay, now you got me thinking about, I don't know if the term's guardian angels or just people that sort of appear at the right moment. They've got the right thing to say. There's been several times in recent memory where I've been that person. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, damn, that was good. I'm just standing here doing my own thing, and this person needed to hear it. And you could see it in their face. Like whatever it was I was channeling what they needed to hear.
But you needed to hear it too, I imagine. I mean, I suppose that's true for me. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but when I'm humble enough to listen, a lot of times it's the reminder, like, Brandy, you're not doing that thing you're teaching. It's that 6-line hypocritical thing. And I get reminded, hey, B, you know this. You get to act like it.
Yeah, so many things there. I was about to say, no, usually if someone's talking to me, I'm getting information. I'm like, wow, this is timely. And sometimes it's the day before I need the information, like so many times. But oh my God, I just lost that. That literally just sparks were going off there about memories, but dial that back. Land the plane. Where are we here?
We were talking about channeling. We were talking about being exactly what we needed to hear. You were sharing that. Well, I want to talk about channeling. I think we as human beings outsource our authority too much. We say that we're channeling something other than us because we couldn't believe that we might be a conduit for it. It's coming out of your mouth. It's you. It is meant for you. Even, I believe, Esther. I love Esther. I love Esther. And
by that you mean Abraham?
Yeah. I love Esther. It's Esther. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's tapping into Abrahamic wisdom, but it's Esther. And I think that once we all remember we're gods, we're going to stop creating machines that kill us. Mm-hmm. So anytime I hear somebody saying that they're channeling somebody else, I don't want to discount them or say that they're not, like, I know better, but I want to challenge them to imagine that it might be them, that they might be the one.
Yeah, I want to talk about Abraham Hicks now because I've been finding myself tapping into that a lot. Sometimes I'll even just start my day by listening to, especially when it's done to music, where it's like something that she's channeling. And it was probably you that said.
Alan Watts is my boyfriend.
Yes, I like
I'd have married him if I was born a little earlier.
Someone, maybe it was you because it was recent, suggested, like, if you're trying to deal with something, just type in Abraham Hicks jealousy, Abraham Hicks concentration. So was that you? It was definitely okay. Well, someone very recently said that, and that's been an interesting little strategy because there's something about her frequency, though.
There it is.
That I hear it differently than before. Kind of Osho too. Like I used to not be able to. Well, I was always drawn to Osho for some reason. And it turns out it was to meet Eleanor and others. But I had to listen to him on double speed. Like, it was just like, man, get to the point. Now, this is what I mean, it's about like music.
This is what I mean about mutation. AI is not going to take our jobs because we create, as wisdom keepers, mutation in other people. Osho does it, even through his audios. Even if we can get AI to speak to us like Osho, it is not Osho's frequency. And if you know about science, you know that time doesn't really exist and that everything is happening currently. And so tapping into the frequency of Osho is absolutely possible. It still is a ripple in the field. Whereas AI doesn't have that component yet because it's not a material form oscillating yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Due diligence. This kind of came from wanting to, improve by 1% every day, and it came from the Emile Coué line: "Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better." And I learned about that phrase from Bert Goldman, who taught quantum jumping, which was effectively going into hypnosis, meditation, and then getting advice or getting information from your forward self. I don't know if you know much about Bert Goldman, but he died about 8 years ago, and I think he was 75 or 85. He was called the American Monk. And towards the end of his life, all of a sudden he was becoming he invented a new style of photography. He, all these things. He became a singer way late in life. And the way he described it is he'd go into this meditation, do this quantum jumping, and connect with that other being. So you could connect with Osho and be like, "Dude, give me some info. This is what I need right now." And you could tap into that. And I've had this thought before and thought, I should try that sometime. And then I forgot. So now I have some homework.
I've been doing that since I was a little girl with my father. My dad died very violently when I was a year old. So I didn't know him. But I would spend a lot of time in a kitchen somewhere with him. I don't know whose kitchen it was, but I would hold this teddy bear and I would pray to God and I would say, "Thank you, God, for my daily bread." The things that I would learn, say the whole prayer. And then I would say, "Let me talk to my dad now." And it's like that meditation or that prayer would get me into theta state. And then I would jump to this kitchen and I would be sitting in the kitchen with my dad and I would talk to him about the day and tell him how scared I was or this or that. And he would tell me other things. He's been on my council forever. I have such a close relationship with him because of this. And some people, if I went and saw a psychologist and they were of a certain ilk, they could say that they were delusions and wild things, and that's all right. But back to time isn't necessarily, time is real, of course, because we have the paradigm and the neurology that thinks in a linear way. So, but in the larger capacity of things, when you're able to walk outside of that paradigm, like with plant medicines or DMT or things like this, you recognize the truth. Yeah. And then once you have that truth, it doesn't need to be broadcasts. It doesn't. You only broadcast it when you don't know it's true. When you know it's true, you just vibrate as it.
Mm-hmm. Earlier, I think you said near-death experiences. You had some things that happened that couldn't be explained, and then I forget the exact term you used, but some people would argue that you need to go see someone or talk to someone because this is stuff we don't talk about. But these are the things I do want to talk about because I'm having experiences that can't be explained, but are certainly fun to explain or describe.
Right.
So,
and we get to create a new paradigm as we, the aware or awakened or whatever word you want to call it. I don't want to make a hierarchical structure out of this, but people who are on this journey, like you and me, learning to follow the impulse of our souls. We're not better or worse than anybody. We're just a subset of people who are doing this thing. Well, in the doing of this thing, we are creating a new dimensional reality that says many more things are possible. And that dimensional reality that we're creating, because it is of a pure, what I mean by pure is it's not a mind-made thing. It's an experiential thing that we are just describing. That becomes the strongest metronome in the room of our species. and makes that dimension possible for all of us, even the ones who aren't doing this work. So I think it's pretty cool that we get this job. I would not want any other job.
I'm getting there with you on that. I don't know if I'm getting there. There was
You want this job too, or you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, apparently. I'm still being dragged and feel my fingernails in the ground or something. But back to Abraham Hicks for a second, and just what you just said, like this, and a 5-MeO DMT experience that I had where I was like breathing the universe.
Yeah.
And, there was one where she was talking about, she's always talking about the vortex.
Yeah.
But in my mind, as she was describing it, it was like we're all swaying together, like, and just floating around. And that was the experience I had in DMT, which just, kind of makes me want to go back now.
You
can. At the time, it was too much information, but yeah.
You can. Close your eyes. It's in your pineal right now, waiting for you.
Yeah. I've been working on that pineal for a while, between discovering Joe and learning about fluoride and various things. Just, it's been quite the journey. So,
yeah, it is. It is paradoxical, and we are learning to think paradoxically, right? We are just toddlers. Our species is such babies. We're just little toddlers who still do things that are bad for us because we think it's more fun right now. We are still, we are at this phase where we're growing into maybe, let's say, teenagers, right? Where teenagers have this realization that everything their parents taught them is not real. And there's more opportunities out there. There's this straddling that we're doing as these species that's moving into teenagerdom. And we get to keep holding that paradox. And so when we say people are afraid of AI, that's when they've forgotten to hold paradox.
Mm-hmm. My brain sometimes just shoots off, and it's like pick a topic, dude.
You are a 3-5 MG. You do not have to pick a topic. We could go all over the place. I think that watch you like that about you.
Oh, thank goodness.
Can I talk about your wisdom keeping for just 1 second, now that we're on the edge of this little breath?
Sure.
Okay. I want to talk about what I'm excited about in this conversation and your wisdom keeping. To whoever is watching, building this ecosystem of wisdom keepers, my brain desired to have equal parts men and women, and that didn't happen in that way, male-bodied and female-bodied. That didn't happen in that way. And Sean just happens to be our only male-bodied human that decided to move forward with being a wisdom keeper in this very first round. And the beauty in this questions and in Dude Diligence and in this podcast and in all of this whole line of inquiry is that there are many men. In my request for where I put out a request in social media, where have all the men gone? Come on, men. And what I see, the pattern of feelings and behavior and fears that I see with male-bodied humans is we're addressing a lot of these questions right now. You are walking the path of being a male-bodied human and all that comes along with that, all of your paradigm of thinking, the way, you were taught to be and carry yourself and think. And all of that is meeting the edge of this awareness. Now, women traditionally have been doing this a bit longer in this edge, in these spaces and places. I've been in these healing spaces for over 20 years. And it used to be when a man showed up, we all just doted over him. Like, oh, thank you for being here. I'm so excited. You're leading the way, blah, blah, blah. There was a whole speech I would say to a man that would show up in these spaces because it was so rare to have male-bodied people in these spaces. So, and then with the request for wisdom keepers to come and be in this more yin ecosystem, this ecosystem, this commerce ecosystem is not capitalistic, patriarchal. It's matriarchal. It's a yin environment of resourcedness. It is a trusting that because I exist, there is a field of people that want to hear what I have to say. And so just saying it and being the magnet of yourself and allowing them to hear you. That's the ecosystem we're building. And you are an emissary. Is that the right word that I would use? You are maybe that's not the right word, but I'm thrilled to be having these conversations with you and with any men who are watching or will watch that are curious and have questions that maybe could even be confronting. Because part of my gift is to be able to be logical, is to have this masculine brain and ability to kind of go tit for tat with you in this realm, to have you feel more comfortable about allowing your body to lead the way instead of your mind, instead of being afraid that if you let this control go, that maybe you won't be the man that your environment has asked or invited you to be. And in fact, I want to invite you into more of that. So I would love for this space, and you, Sean, you are the wisdom keeper, the emissary, the person who is inviting the dudes to say, come ask the questions, come do your diligence, and then come the fuck in, because there's room for you here and you belong here. And this economy does not shape you into this patriarchal thing that is hurting you. So I am just grateful, Sean. I'm grateful that you're standing in the threshold, both for the hers and the hims. And so I'd love for this space to be one of diligence for the dudes to come in and ask all the questions that they're fucking afraid of, and for you to show them how safe and okay and empowering this is.
Cool. Thank you. Due diligence was a typo, eh? Or came from a typo.
Well, I love it. And it's so perfect. So
Yeah.
no way was it a typo. The universe was just waiting for us.
Well, right. Like it was it happened the way it happened. And, I was just telling a company and we were doing our due diligence, and I can't get excited about accounting. And I typed dude and I was like, oh, that's way better. So I just insisted that all the meetings were called due diligence, and it changed the vibe in the meeting, right? So,
yeah. And it's a perfect title for this threshold that you are the wisdom keeper of, that you are being the keeper of this threshold of, yes, dudes, there is diligence to do. We're not just asking you to come into the woo-woo world and believe us. Let's do your diligence right here. Let's ask the questions. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the science and the philosophy of it, so that you can see that all of these wisdoms are merging right now. This isn't just some bullshit we've made up to ask you to believe. Like, I can walk you through, you could walk them through the science of differentiation so that they can empirically test it for themselves. And we need dudes. This cannot just be a womb space. There needs to be the energy of creation of male bodies here too, in order for it to come into full fruition.
Yeah, I like the idea of empowering other men. To me, everyone's a dude. I actually, at one point, remember Googling the origin of dude, and it's just basically a surfer slang term that's easygoing. And I guess in the 60s or 70s, they were trying out dudette for a while, and it was just like, oh, just everybody's a dude, right? And but like if we talk about frequency, like you can say like dude or dude, like you can't. That doesn't work with any other word when you're talking to someone.
Except for fuck.
Honestly, I also called people dude because I couldn't remember their name. Like if I didn't remember your name, it was dude. And I do a lot of dude because I really struggle with names. It's awful, actually. I've tried so many things. My friend Dave taught me if you squeeze your right hand, you activate the left side of your brain. So like it's to retain the name, you go like Dave, 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 and then to retrieve it, you use the right or the left and retrieve it from the right side of the brain. But you generally shake hands with the right hand. So then I had to remember like after, and so I basically forget this exercise because it worked quite well when I remember to do it. I can all of a sudden like recall names, and it's bananas. So
that's fun. The brain is such a beautiful computer.
mm-hmm.
I took a memory. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to add a little anecdote to that. I took a memory class one time, and he taught me to remember names, put an action behind it. Like, for whatever reason, when I think Sean, I think of I know this is silly, but like a window covering opening up, like a light, like Dawn, Sean Dawn, maybe, I don't know. I think of the window opening. So every time I see you, I think of the window opening, and that's Sean. So there's a action behind the name. And so when your mind can recall the action, it will recall the name. And so he helped me do a whole speech like that, putting things on certain parts of the room. Putting statements or parts of my speech at certain parts of the room so that little thing would help me remember that part of the speech. It's really cool. Really cool memory work.
Yeah, I've tried various memory things. I forget what it's called, but it's like where you walk through your house and there's some golf clubs in the corner, and that'll help you remember this. I don't know the name for it. But magicians and stuff use it, like and card counters, like they can remember 5 decks of cards in Vegas. I don't know what the term is, but I tried it and it was a disaster. I just How are you doing for energy? I usually clock in here at about an hour and a half, but I can
I'm doing good. Let's see. Yeah.
Anything else on your mind, or anything that we haven't covered, particularly about Wisdom Keepers or Santa Fe? Because that's...
Well, yes, I thank you for that. I'll just wrap it up with, coming back around to that. So High Desert Human Design this year is going to be a brand new experience. We have been doing it for 5 years. Jonah has been the beautiful steward, working so hard with his team to get it together and to give us this beautiful experience. And this year is going to be a bit different. This year, we are going to move into embodiment. A lot of the experiences I would like to have are ones of, we know our design. Let's see let's be around other people who are also experimenting. What I hear a lot is that people know human design, but they don't get to do it in their real life. So this is a place where they get to come do it. They get to come be seen as their magnificence and get called into their costume. Right? And Wisdom Keepers, we are really doing the work and setting the ground to prove to everyone that comes to these conferences that following our bodies into the places and spaces that are for us is where our value is where our reciprocity is. I use the analogy of the forest all the time, or different environmental ecosystems, because when you can be the tree of your ecosystem, the tree is not holding a sign saying, I will work for food. The tree has never once worried about his 401k. The tree has never once says, please be my friend. What it does is be tree. And because it bees tree, birds need it, squirrels need it, mycelium supports it. The entire ecosystem is built to support and be symbiotic with one another, not necessarily codependent, but interdependent. And so me and you and the other Wisdom Keepers are doing the work of putting our money where our mouth is, of being tree and inviting every bird, every squirrel, every mycelium, everything that is for us to resource us. And then to trust that. We're doing the work of that. We're doing the work that says we don't have to fill out a resume full of fake shit and go pretend we're somebody that we're not in order to pay our rent, in which, by the way, that one job wouldn't pay your rent anyway. You might need a couple of those. We know, not just by human design, but with our own eyes and with many other wisdoms around, that we are in a time of transformation, that the systems that we've come to rely upon are changing in a way that make it not sustainable anymore. And so me and you and the other wisdom keepers are the first people that are opening this portal of a new way of being paid for being you. And so I'm so stoked about that. And every year I'm going to have 10 wisdom keepers that I take through this process. Only 10 of you. And then the 10 of you will present live and bring your communities, the people who have learned to follow you, to Santa Fe, to the Human Design Conference, so that they can feel everything that you've been teaching in this website and on this app, so that they can get the full-bodied experience of the mutation that takes place when they receive your wisdom, because they arrived at you from their own body's wisdom, not from some propaganda and marketing campaign that you put on social media, and they saw you and said, oh, maybe I am that fucked up. Maybe I do need his help. That is not the place where you're coming from. You're coming from a place where everybody is sovereign, and that there is as you be tree, there is a bird that is meant to sit on your branches and hear what you have to say. And so I'm so stoked and honored to be just an ally while we do this and prove it and open this portal for everybody. You know, I know it sounds so big, but we can do it. Right? We could open this portal. We could create a new commerce society. You know, and I haven't called it anything that we've called our ways of commerce before, because I think it's just nature. It's just interdependence and reciprocity like nature. And we're creating a field in which we can be and have food, be and have love, be and have a home, be and have joy of being alive just by being. Human being, not human doing. So I guess that's my soapbox. That's my excitement. That is my mission. And I'm doing it right along with you guys. You know, I'm building my wisdom in the exact same way. So I'm just the manifestor in the group that brought the idea, but we're all standing side by side, equally yoked, opening this portal.
Now I want to keep going because do you have some bit more time?
Yeah.
Not that I didn't want to keep going before, but I was like, I don't have an immediate question. But 2027, this whole idea of a shift, you know, it's not necessarily even just a human design thing. It's astrology. It's, you know, various systems. Everything's changing, you know, and so many avenues. And
we can see it with our eyes. So it's not something we have to believe. We can see it with our eyes.
Yeah. So Osho, and because there's clearly Vinyasan ties to human design. All the early people were mostly Vinyasan. And
Sinyasan.
You know, sorry?
Sinyasan.
What was I saying? Vinyasan.
Vinyasan, that's a yoga flow.
Making stuff up there. Sinyasan. So, and, you know, when I think the things that happened in my life, it was 3 years ago now. I went to my cousin's place in Collingwood, Ontario, and they introduced me to pickleball, which at this point it's all I talk about. So it's, you know, but in that same weekend, my second cousin, Carl was like, you want to watch this Wild Wild Country documentary? So I don't know if you've seen that, but it doesn't put a really positive spin on the whole thing. But when you think of the intention of the city where you got up and you were like, what needs being done today? Yeah. You know, you weren't the accountant. It was like, someone needs to jump in the tractor and, you know, because we've got to grow some cabbage. And I've either heard Osho say it, or maybe others have said it around him, but he was just, you know, it was 50 or 100 years ahead of his time. Yeah. And we really seem to be coming to that time where, like, countries are dumb. Government is dumb, you know, like, are we just going to have cities, like, you know, but without all this bullshit around it taxing us and doing shitty project management? And
well, we're not going to do it as long as we think like that. You see,
is that the pessimism coming through?
Yeah.
There it is. Okay.
what we get to do is run like our asses are on fire towards what we want. We face our face towards the sun. We could sit here and postulate about what could and how this and who that and we are creating all of that jargon from the brain that lives here right now. So we don't have access to what could be possible. What can be possible will be possible when we face our face forward and watch ourselves become, when we follow the impulse of our soul, because the impulse of our soul is LOVE. It's not anything else. And so when we follow that, what we will see is a becoming. We cannot know. We can only become, and then we know. Right now, we are trying to create from what we know. That's why we keep in the same suffering loops, is because we're creating from what we know. We have not yet trusted the impulse of our soul to create for us and watch it become. And so people like you and me are facing our faces towards the sun, running like our asses are on fire towards what we want. When we think that we know it might be something, we let that go and we see what it might actually be. Because we know our thinking is only the limitation of us. We cannot think a new thought until we watch it be. We cannot, this is why I believe 6 lines are here. The people who are 6 line profiles are here to show why does humanity need a role model? Because their neurology needs to see it's possible before they do it. The neurology needs to see it happen. The neurology is just a recording device. It's not a creation device. Creation is the energy that animates your meat suit. Your brain is not a creator, it's a recorder. And so we think that the brain is the creator, so we keep creating from what the brain knows, which is all we've ever done. But what's waiting for us is new creations through the impulse of our body. That's the real creator. And so the more you collapse the wave function of we're a fucked up society and we're always going to be fucked up because we have these little middle brains and we're just primates and we just want to fuck and kill. And yeah, sure, that's what's in our brain, but that's not what's possible for us. We just have to let what's possible become. And we're afraid like little babies. That just like, that image of, whether you believe in God or not doesn't matter, but that image of the little boy who has his teddy bear and he's holding on so tightly to his teddy bear. And there's this image of what looks like a Jesus asking him to give Jesus the teddy bear. And the boy's like, no, no, no. But what's behind Jesus's back is this big, huge teddy bear that boy could have never imagined. And Jesus is just asking for the little bear and is going to give him this bigger thing. But that little boy won't let go because he thinks that's all there is. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's only that little bear is just the limitation of us.
And I've never seen that image, but I like the description of it. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
I think the universe, right? What is the universe? In my opinion, it is a mathematical equation that is continuing its mathematics over and over and over in a joyous dance of dynamic movement. And so that thing is choreographed in your favor. What does that mean? It means even if it feels a little shitty right now, just fucking wait and see what becomes. Mm-hmm. It's all for you. Yeah. I could keep going, but I don't want to get on
that. No. What I think the first, you probably said a bunch of things, but the one thing that caught my attention big time was at the Santa Fe conference 3 years ago. And you were doing a presentation on the global orchestration directory. Yes. And as someone that grew up not believing in God, spirit connection, and have a very different viewpoint of that now, and being an IT guy, I guess I just really appreciate a good acronym. Yeah. And then, we're talking about the word orchestration, right? Like if a symphony, like it's beautiful. It's perfect. Did you come up with that? Or was that like...
That was raw. That's raw.
Oh, really? I've never heard him say that.
He said it when he was talking about astrology and cosmology. It is the global orchestration directory, being that mathematics that I was referring to, are the planets or the neutrino stream, the electricity that flows through this cosmos is made of 64 fundamental constituents, all operating in 6 different frequencies. For what? For joy, for pain, for orgasms, for adventure, for family, for man, for woman, for tree, for all of that.
Astrology's real, eh? And where I heard it best described, and maybe it was you, because again, it was in recent weeks, but it was like the proving of neutrinos, which Ra had mentioned before. NASA confirmed it, right? But like, shit's real, man. And it's so true in so many ways. I keep reading like billionaires have astrologers on staff. Like, the elite all have astrologers on staff. The rest of us are led to believe it's bullshit, but it's incredible. And I got some really interesting validation this week. Like I've decided I'm going to go to Puerto Vallarta because I can't be in the States. I'm waiting on a permit thing, but I want to be warm and I don't want to go back to Canada. And so I met with this fellow, David Kahn, who's had a chat with me before. And he's combining AI with sidereal astrology and various other elements to sort of figure out where's the best place for your meat suit to succeed. And astrocartography was not doing it for me. It kept saying Victoria was great for me and Florida was a dud. And I'm like, I know my body and I know what I'm experiencing, and this is not lining up. Once we used what he had developed and switched, and I don't know a ton about astrology, but I understand that astrology sidereal is more predictive. And I'm trying to predict getting my shit together somewhere. So it all made sense. And all of a sudden it was validating all of my choices, like where I sensed that I wanted to go, which I really felt came from this intuitive hit I was having or felt sense in my body. Astrocartography was not ringing the bell whatsoever. It was giving me the exact opposite. So it's like, even it's just refinement within,
Well, do you want my feedback?
100%.
Okay. Astrocartography is generally based on the tropical zodiac. The tropical zodiac is a state of consciousness, in my opinion. So is sidereal. I cannot say it. Like brewery and Worcestershire sauce. I cannot say that word.
Well, I don't know if I said it right either.
I think you did.
Oh, okay.
Sidereal. Say it again.
Sidereal?
Sidereal.
I think there's a lot of E's in there, or more E's than you think.
Sidereal is a different dimension of reality. It is what is currently being. Okay, so let me give you all dimensions exist at one time, right? When we think we go into a different dimension, it's not like we're going into something different. It's just a different construct of mind. So tropical astrology and astrocartography is generally based on tropical astrology, which, as you know, is not where the planets currently are right now. It is based on a seasonal cyclical development where Aries starts the seasons, right? Tropical astrology was based on seasonal knowledge. Seasons have not changed here on this globe, but the constellations in the sky have changed over time. So the neutrino stream, if we're talking about how the subatomic particles move through stars, planets, things like that, these constellations are not necessarily within our cosmology, but the planets are, right? The constellations are just ideas, right? They're just someone saw these stars and projected a shape, an animal, a thing onto it. It's not really that. There's an opportunity for these subatomic particles that move through the cosmos to affect and impact a greater sense of awareness. And until you're ready to live as if you are aware, meaning make the choices that you know are the right ones, meaning follow the impulse of your soul, meaning trust yourself. All of us are fighting that, right? When we do that, I do believe we are given the opportunity to be affected by the oscillation of sidereal, the actual placement of the neutrino process. But because we live in a dimension of reality that our thought process is with the tropical zodiac, that is the difference there is awakening. When we say it's predictive, I think what it means is it's inviting you into your evolution. When you talk about the two different charts, when I've looked at my two different charts, what I see is the tropical chart is where I was born into. And my other chart is what is a challenge for me. It's what I'm walking into. It's the costume I'm standing up in. It's the way my tropical gets expressed right now in this world. So again, we're going to get rid of paradoxical thinking. Or excuse me, we're going to get rid of binary thinking and adopt paradoxical thinking. We're going to allow more than one thing to be true at the same time. Tropical is true, and we have a lot of mindset, and our planet is still in the seasons of tropical astrology. But there is an invitation from the cosmos, the global orchestration directory, to change our minds, to move into a new paradigm, to see what's more possible now. That is the evolution of the cosmos and the evolution of our spirit all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. You sounded exactly like Esther Hicks there at one point. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
The problem is I forgot what word you used, but what's that?
I said, I don't even remember what I just said.
Oh, you said meaning, meaning, right? And she has this cadence. So were you tapped into that, or it was just, or maybe it's just because it's on my mind and it's so familiar recently that I'm just like, wow, that's,
I don't know,
such an interesting conversation. Cool. All right. Cool. Well, it's getting noisy here, so I think I'm gonna have to wrap this up.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go meet with the Santa Fe human design folks, like I do on Tuesdays, and we chat about.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for having a chat with me today. I'm gonna click the little button that makes this look all pro, but if you can just hang out for a second.
Hold on real quick. I want to invite anyone who is watching this, male or female bodied, but to reach out to Sean, to have these conversations, to ask these questions, to bring it into the Dude Diligence forum with Sean. I'm happy to come back, but let's meet your resistance and overcome it.
Perfect. Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you.
I wouldn't want to be him. So squishy, squashy, wash your hands all clean.